Hi guys, we are going to do a dictation activity. As you listen to these 15 sentences, try to write what you hear. At the end, I'll go over the answers. You can check if you got the sentence right, but also check your spelling. And also give me a thumbs up if you like this type of content. Leave a comment of the level that you are interested in, and I can know to make more content that you will like. Thanks for watching. Let's get started.
I thought you were coming a bit earlier. I thought you were coming a bit earlier. She said she'd call once she got there. She said she'd call once she got there. We didn't realize how late it had gotten. We didn't realize how late it had gotten. He was supposed to finish it by today. He was supposed to finish it by today. I should have mentioned it before, but I forgot. I should have mentioned it before, but I forgot. It didn't occur to me that they'd already left. It didn't occur to me that they'd already left. She can't remember where she put her keys. She can't remember where she put her keys. We might have misunderstood what he was asking. We might have misunderstood what he was asking. I was under the impression you'd handled it. I was under the impression you'd handled it. They weren't nearly as prepared as they thought. They weren't nearly as prepared as they thought. Had I known sooner, I would have done things differently. Had I known sooner, I would have done things differently. No sooner had we arrived than the plan changed. No sooner had we arrived than the plan changed. He wouldn't have reacted that way if he'd understood. He wouldn't have reacted that way if he'd understood. Little did she realize how complicated it would become. Little did she realize how complicated it would become. What was meant as a favor ended up causing more trouble. What was meant as a favor ended up causing more trouble. I thought you were coming a bit earlier. This can sound difficult because sometimes people reduce it to a sound that's I thought you or I thought you were. Either way, it's a reduction, and sometimes a bit also gets lost. She said she'd call once she got there. Yes, this is tricky because we have a contraction again, she'd, for she would. That can be confusing because, if you have she had, it could have the same contraction but have a different meaning. Um, Another thing that's tricky about this one is just the grammar structure because when we're talking about future remaining and we're using reported speech, we would have, a past tense form once she got there. And this grammar structure can be difficult. We didn't realize how late it had gotten. This one's tricky because we have had gotten, which is past perfect. Gotten can sound like got, or it can disappear in fast speech. So you'll hear people say gotten, as opposed to gotten. So that can be difficult for learners too. He was supposed to finish it by today. This one's tricky because was supposed to, when you got the word supposed to, it can sound like supposed to. It's a reduction. And this implies expectation, not certainty. I should have mentioned it before, but I forgot. Should have is going to be difficult to hear. And also, we're talking about regret about the past. This isn't a situation of advice. It didn't occur to me that they'd already left. They'd is going to be a little hard to hear for some people, for they had. Occur to me is a fixed expression. It's just one of those that you can learn. And then in this sentence, the word order may be a little strange to some people. She can't remember where she put her keys. Put is going to be past simple in this case, and put doesn't change form. So it's easy. It's an easy one to just forget about or to miss. We might have misunderstood what he was asking. Might have can be very difficult to hear for might have. And in this sentence, we are expressing uncertainty about the past. I was under the impression you'd handled it. You'd for you had, in this case, not you would. And this is a formal phrase, but it's used casually in speech. They weren't nearly as prepared as they thought. Not nearly as is a phrase that expresses strong contrast. And often in English, the stress pattern can change the meaning of a phrase or a word or even a sentence. Had I known sooner, I would have done things differently. In this case, we've got an inverted conditional, meaning that we're not using if, but it's still a conditional phrase. And then also would have can be difficult to hear. No sooner had we arrived than the plan changed. This is a negative inversion, no sooner had, and it's pretty rare in a structure, but it is something that's pretty common in formal speech. He wouldn't have reacted that way if he'd understood. This is a third conditional, and we have wouldn't have and he'd. Those are both stacked together. Both are equally difficult to hear. Anytime you have a contraction or any kind of reduction, it can be difficult to hear. Little did she realize how complicated it would become. This one's difficult in the sense that the meaning of the sentence is dependent on the word order rather than the tense. So we've got a negative inversion, and really it's a structure that can be difficult. What was meant as a favor ended up causing more trouble. All right, here we have a passive structure was meant. We have ended up, which signals an unexpected result. And overall, I mean, we've got a statement with a question word in the beginning. So there's several things that can make this sentence tricky. Thank you for watching with me today. I know these sentences were a little bit difficult. If you found them helpful, give me a like and I'll make more like this. If you found it a little too difficult, then let me know in the comments. Thank you so much.